things on the go, or to keep things on the go here, our next session is called Conquering the Plate. And so we feature Sandra Forand, level 5 slow pitch, and on our ODC, and Ryan Weber, our level 5 fast pitch from Alberta, talk about conquering the plate. Looking forward to this one, everybody. I mean, this will be probably a good thing to start with when we get into our new season. So away you guys go.
Thank you, Brent.
I'm just gonna get this.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that introduction, Brent. We can go to the next step there, right? So my perspective is going to be about hints to battle being rattled, tips and tricks to getting your good game back.
And mine is the calm before and after the storm. Tips about getting your mental composure back as well.
Okay, this is a picture. Actually, I saw Chris and Pete Saunders, Chris Moon and Pete Saunders at this tournament in Sofia, Bulgaria. One of the many enjoyable tournaments that I was able to participate in. Absolutely loved it. The bottom picture is probably maybe the most nervous I've been in a game. It was the border battle between Canada and the United States, but here I'm doing the border battle, the US national team, men's national team, versus the futures. And this is always a highlight because these future members, as you might know, there's bat deals, there's various components to being on the US national team. And I was a plate umpire on this game. And unfortunately, the futures upset the national team. So, and I hope I'm going back there this summer. So hopefully they won't remember that they actually lost with me. All right, we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, so in some regard, and even Jen in her speaking talked not being rattled, but being having nerves, having different situations happen with her body. So we're going to talk about these things. And I think everybody, it happens to. Philippe's you just talked about with the number of your levels, of number of years that you've umpired, you've got things down, but stuff happens now and then. When does it happen? For me, it happens when I'm tired. In slow pitch, sometimes we're doing 5 games in a day, and it gets to be a long, hot day in Southern Ontario occasionally, and also in Sofia, Bulgaria. But it's a long tournament. Your focus is off. I have a mantra, and a mantra is something I say to myself when I especially need to create that focus in my brain, and it's called lean in. We should all maybe have one. And it comes from a book that I read, President of Google. When she's in a room full of men and there's a lot going on, I lean in. So that's my mantra. Sleeping habits are really big at tournaments. Frankie and Jen, sleeping habits, eating habits. If you need something to bring with you to bring more of that nutritional value, that your focus stays high. This is a really important component when it happens. Umpiring up a division, lack of experience with the level. I know men's A is very high game management, far greater management than ever the 15 years that I umpired fast pitch. It is a bit crazy. If you've been out at the highest level for a while, and you're looking to get back into it, it's again, you get this little bit of rattling going on. Or as an evaluator, we've talked about this in our courses of evaluation. When somebody's made a call and you've observed that they don't like their call or they're not comfortable with the call, you'll often see a change in their demeanor following it. And and it's a lack of confidence because they actually didn't like that call. Their body language changes, and you can tell if an umpire is still in their head if they might miss it on the next call. What will they do the next call? Because if you love a call, if you made that sliding play at home and you made that fantastic call, guess what? You're ready to roll. You're ready for the next call because your confidence level has been lifted. But if you don't like it, how are you going to get it back? So what does it look like? It's nerves. Your heart rate's up. Even Jen's was. So she talked about nerves. But I want you to think of nerves before you start as an infusion of spirit. It's getting ready for competition. It's getting ready for you to succeed. But in this game, maybe you've kicked a call, the players start to chirp. The coach, now you hear the coaches. And so what do? So now you have to create the focus you lost. That's the number one mechanic that I learned in NCAA basketball all those years. When things go wrong, it's your mechanics that get you back right. Lean in, your plate stance, your position, like the actual physical movements. Break down you're visualizing the pitch. You're looking at the pitcher, the pre-pitch position, the delivery, the arc. You need to break those down because that focus in your brain takes you out of all of that conflict that just occurred. At the plate, you have your mechanics. I'm like the tallest 5-foot person you ever want to meet because I really want to be 6 feet, but I'm not. But I try to imitate it when I need to be. And that is when I'm talking to these 6'5" men. So it's the way I call balls, the way I call strikes. And Frankie, you talked about on a conference call, the way women speaking from their diaphragm, not just speaking. You need to have this voice that carries out and shows that assertiveness. That is part of that strength and focus that we need to deliver. But then you're still hearing noise. And I've observed an umpire where the rattles had come. I talked to him at the fence. He called me over. He said, I'd lost. Okay. I told him, break this down. And there was still noise. I went back to the fence and I said, now you have to shut it down. You have to talk to the coaches. You've got to bring them in. You've got to tell them very firmly that if this continues to occur, people will be leaving. And then you got to do what you say, just like with your kids. Mean what you say, do it. And you do. And you will be surprised how quiet it gets because nobody wants to leave the game. And when that quiet occurs, the focus comes back for us because now we can concentrate. Now we can hear ourselves even think about what actions we want to create in that focus. So we've been through that step. When does it happen? What does it look like? What do we do? And now we can now begin our game again. All right, Brian, continue, buddy. Brian, your mic's off.
Sorry. Thank you, Sandra. Good morning and afternoon, everyone. So how do we prepare for the storm? Now, how do we get the calm before the storm? One of the first things we want to do is prepare our proper mechanics. This is going to be review, but the great first impression that you can make when you get out there is your look and the mechanics when you're on the plate. Taking that position in the slot, eyes at the top of the zone, your feet facing the pitcher, watching that ball from the pitcher into the glove, having your body positioned properly. These are all those proper techniques that we see from all the different officials. This is how you get yourself set and ready before even the game is going to get you under. Next, when we talk plate mechanics, yes, we are talking mainly about our physical, but there's also a second mechanic that is that we're going to talk about today, and that's our mental composure. What are we doing when we're arriving at a major game? What are we doing to get ourselves prepared for it? There's 3 keys that I'd like to discuss, and one of the first is your pregame prep. This is something where you're going to go together with your partners. You're going to sit down. You're going to discuss what's going to happen possibly in the game, what we know of the teams that we're going to see that we've learned from the championship already or that we've known from the past. Also, how we're going to react when something does possibly happen in the game. These are all keys that I find with a good pregame, you can get yourself prepared for if there is something that happens within the game. Second, in the game, you're definitely going to be tested. There's going to be things that are going to test your composure between plays, coaches, situations, all that noise Sandra just spoke about. Those are things that are going to test your ability of being ready if a storm does arrive. And the last one is a key that I think is one of the most important, and that's your pre-pitch preparation. Every pitch, something changes, whether a base runner gets to second or steals, or you have another base runner on third, or the batter that's up. All these different situations can change with every pitch. So talking to yourself and being prepared for each pitch is going to get you prepared for whatever can happen next. Watch these next few slides here that I'm going to go through. These are from the winner-winner game in the 2018 Senior Men's Canadian Championship. In the first inning here, we got to play at the plate. The pitcher gets run over on a pass ball by the runner coming in from third. Of course, teams take exception. And the benchers, eventually, this turns into an all-out physical benches clearing situation. As you can see, I was in there, and then my view, for those that don't know, that was me that was on the plate of this game, and you can see that I disappeared. And yeah, it was definitely an experience in the storm there. Second inning, I had even some more information situations happen. Got a home run. The batter running around the bases decided that he needed to tell the pitcher exactly what was going on. Probably not the best thing to do. So what do we get? We get a hit batter on the next pitch. And of course, I ejected the pitcher on that situation as well. So over those course of those 2 innings, I had 5 ejections, lots of different things that could try to rattle a person while they're at the plate, and having their composure really get out of whack. And your mental composure is what's going to try to bring you back into this game. So getting your game back, like Sandra said, you have to get yourself back down to earth. You got to get your adrenaline that is now pumping to try to calm yourself to bring you back into the situation that you're in. One of the things I do is I just take my time, take an extra drink of water, take a few breaths. Now I want to answer some questions of what I just occurred in this to get myself back to calm. So what had happened? Well, you just got to ask yourself, what did you see? What is going through your mind? Is it over? Well, in most men's ball, nothing's really ever over. But then you have to also talk to yourself and say, what could be next? And this is probably one of the things that really work into that pre-pitch preparation is what's going to happen on the next pitch or the next pitch, or what's going to happen with these players, and can this get any worse? Which, as you saw from the first brawl in the first inning to the hit batter in the second inning, it definitely can continue to progress if you don't get a chance to take control of the situation. Can you anticipate a brawl? No, you can't anticipate a brawl. But there's things that happened in this situation that I learned a lot over the course of that game about how important all those different keys at the beginning I spoke about really came into play. My pregame, that was probably one of the big things that we discussed in our pregame, was the animosity that we knew from these two teams over the course of their round robin game between each other. Somebody with a hard slide that took exception, and there was some chirping just right off of that. Nothing happened in that round robin game, but you know, when you get into the playoffs, UICs usually tell you on the night before, hey, we're getting into the playoffs. We know these games are going to ramp up. That's obviously what you can expect, right? So we knew that there could be some things that were going to happen in that. We talked about how are we going to handle the situation if something comes up. These are all things that really helped us be prepared for anything that could happen. But the one part that I can say that I failed in my own self in this situation was I didn't pre-pitch thought that there would be a pass ball on the next pitch, or being prepared for that. I didn't. So when everything happened, it was so fast that, as you saw, you get bowled over so quickly that it just kind of shakes you and wakes you up, I guess is the best way to put it. So how did I feel after that first brawl? Well, sometimes this is exactly how you feel. You almost feel like you're a little bit on an island. It took a little bit, even just in that breath afterwards, to say, okay, what was going on? Well, the one thing that I knew could help me the most was these guys. Your team on the diamond is going to be your best help in a situation like this. We got together, we talked, we discussed everything. And, you know, we took longer just for the fact that it was able to bring us back to the game. It was able to give the teams time to take their own breath, gave them time to get back into it. Your
Ryan,
team
what exactly would your partners and you say in this situation here?
One of the things is, you know, we got together and we kind of just discussed what we all saw. We have a third base umpire that's seeing the view coming down the third base line. We have the first base umpire that's out at second base. He's able to see what he can see from his angle. And then, of course, myself, when I'm coming around and watching the collision at home, we were able to discuss and see what we saw in that. Also, when we're watching the brawl or when we're in that kind of atmosphere, we're also discussing what we saw between the players. Because if you see punches thrown, you have to be able to react in that situation. You got to take numbers down. You got to make sure that you're disciplining, you know, the people that that caused the situation. So after we got out of all of this, of course, we have 3 ejections of players in the brawl aspect, and then we had a coach that needed to leave because he didn't like some of the answers that he got. And then I had the pitcher that I had to toss in the inning afterwards. So the blue team is great all the way up until it comes to the paperwork. Those guys were nowhere to be found when I had to write up all these write-ups at the end of the game. So, but that happens at a Canadian championship. If you're the guy that has the ejections, you're the one that's writing them up. But I'll tell you right now, those guys were my best team out there, obviously. So that there is what I felt. And then that was the calm afterwards, because after that, we were able to get everything back on track. Nothing else happened after that in the game. And I felt, even after I came off that game, I felt like I had one of the best games I've ever umpired in my life. And it was the greatest experience I've had for a long time.
Okay. Any other questions, or if we've got time for questions? I'm not sure, Scott.
I got a question for you, Sandra, actually. What did you say to the crew after to get them through the game, or when you were at the fence talking to not just the plate umpire to get his take on getting the diamond back in order, the partners as well in that game?
Well, you know what, in that situation, when I was evaluating, it was between me and the umpire. I actually thought it took a lot of courage for the umpire. I just happened to be there. And I don't normally stay in one spot, but he called me over because we're good friends too. And I think that you're right though, he probably should have brought his partner in, because even if you're being rattled or a situation is going on, you have to still expect that your partner's going to have your back regardless. They need to be a part of that situation. So if they hear people from their benches, they need to deal with that side of the diamond. You're absolutely right. I know I've been in a brawl situation, and the last thing you want is an umpire to be in the middle of it because they're going to get hit. But then each side needs to take responsibility because you're a crew. You're right. When you walk off that diamond, you are ultimately a crew, and anything less is not acceptable because we need each other for the good and the bad. We do need each other because that's our support, right? And we're the blue team, and we can never forget that. So they need to talk to each other as quickly as possible when stuff goes down. I agree.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Ryan. I'm going to hop in and try to navigate the question session for you. I think that's Stephen who has his hand up, I think.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you again
All right.
for this point. Ryan, it's Stephen Valdor. You know, I was your buddy at third base on what you've been explaining. And even though my suit was blue, I was kind of green in those kind of situations. I did went through a couple of those in my career, but still, I never had the chance to tell you that I was impressed by the way you regain yourself after this, because I was kind of shocked, and I learned a lot in this, and I learned a lot in watching an experienced guy on that crew, and that was Clinton Harvey at first base.
Clinton was on.
That settled pretty much everything down to our cases, you and I, Ryan, that we were kind okay. So, but there's nothing, I would say, to complete what you just said, Ryan, there's nothing more important than things like that to happen, to better react the next time it will happen. Mm-hmm. So now that I've seen it, I'm ready for the next one, even though I hope it won't happen. So just thank you, Ryan, for excellent presentation and what you've said towards this view of yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, Clinton definitely helped Stephen and I through our first major brawl at a Canadian championship for sure.
Okay, I'm looking through the questions. I'm not seeing anything on the chat box. Any hands up?
Everybody's had a brawl.
Took me 25 years, but I did get one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All right.